Alright, so we're going to be doing our 3D power room, or 3D rooms in PowerPoint. So we open up PowerPoint. Okay, first thing that pops up, every PowerPoint should have what first?
Title slide.
Title slide, okay? So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to add a title slide here, okay? The title here is Career Crystal Ball. Then the subtitle is going to be presented by and I'm going to press enter to put my name underneath of it. I just think it's neater that way. Now later on I'll let you fix the title where instead of being like that, obviously you can change the format, you can do whatever you want on that. The one thing that I want you to understand, you can also change it into word art later on if you want to make it a little bit, you know, fancier if you want, if you will. Okay, a little bit pops a little bit more, but right now we're going to keep things basic for now. Okay. The one thing we're going to do is we are going to add something here real quick, okay? And you'll see later on why we're going to add this, alright? Okay? Alright, go to your insert ribbon at the top. Go to shapes. Under shapes, go down to block arrows. Okay, you'll see all these different arrows that you can use. Choose an arrow pointing to the right. I don't care which one. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the curved ones don't work as well as... I can honestly say we don't want to do the curved ones. We really want to keep the ones that are truly pointing to the right. I'm going to choose this pentagon one. I'm going to click on it. Yeah, like I say, you can choose any arrow you want pointing to the right. I would stay away from the curved ones. And I'm going to put it in the bottom right hand corner of this slide. And the height and the width of it, as long as it's fairly large, I've got mine at least 1 inch. I'd almost say make it 1.5 inches. Just to make it big, and then I'm going to make it a little bit wider by going to probably about 3 inches. That is actually really big, and that's plenty big what we need, okay? And the way I got to that is I just double clicked on my shape and then went to my sizing tool here, okay? So I would say right around 1.5 by 3 should be alright as far as your size. Okay. Now, again, you'll be able to change the color of this, shape, all that kind of stuff. Right now, we're not worried about it. We're going to keep it basic until we go to do that stuff later. Remember, the design, the animations, all that kind of stuff, we're going to do it later. Okay? Alright, let's just get basically what we consider an outline here done. Alright, right-click on this shape. Right-click on it that you just created. Go up to where it says Edit Text. Click on it. When I click on Edit Text, you really can't see it, but it is blinking inside the middle there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to type the word all in caps here. Enter. E-N-T-E-R. I'm doing it in all caps. Now we're going to change the format of the word. Okay, we're going to change the size, we're going to change, you might want to change the font, the color. Again, I'm going to keep mine white because of right now it looks good with the blue here, but I may change the color of this later on. So I'm not going to worry about the color of the font right now. You can do this a couple of ways. I can either highlight the entire word, or what I like to do is, you see the dotted line that's all the way around your shape? Click on it. When you click on it, I'm going to go to the home ribbon now. This allows me to format it all. I just like it better doing it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bold it. And then I'm going to change the font size until it's big enough before it starts splitting up. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I go to, right now I'm at 60. 66, split my letters up. You see now it looks like Inte R. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it right here. Make it enter. So yours, like the one I did this morning, I was able to go to 72-point font. Okay. And again, I can change, if I want to, I can change the font if I want to. If I change the font, obviously I might have to rethink my my sizing. No, I'm gonna still keep it at 60. Okay. And then click off of it once you've done that, so that you're no longer worried about the formatting of it. Okay. But realistically, that's all we're going to do to this shape right now, because of later on we'll come back to it. Okay. All right. Now we're done with this title slide for now. So we're going to create a new slide. If you remember, Control M, as in Mama help me. Or always remember, if you don't remember the shortcuts, the buttons are there too for you. Okay, there's an icon that says New Slide. Now right now, our slide layout that we have is the title and content. We're going to change the layout. Okay, so up here at the left-hand side, you'll see Layout. You're going to go down to Blank. And click on Blank. Okay. Alright. Alright, now, the next thing I would suggest doing, and mine are already turned on, is turning on my ruler here. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you where to get that. At your View ribbon at the top, click on it. And then put a check mark next to where it says Ruler. And you'll see your ruler. It'll come important because what this slide is going to actually be our 3D room. Okay? So that's what I like, having that ruler, just so that you have kind of an idea. When you design many of these, like I've designed about 100 of these, it becomes, you kind of already know how big the walls need to be and everything, but in the first time, you're going to need to use the rulers. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is go to the Insert ribbon again. I'm going to go to Shapes. Then, I'm going to go to where the rectangle. You can go down here where rectangles are, but I want the regular rectangle. Okay? I'm going to click on it, and you'll get a plus sign. Or crosshairs, however you want to look at it. Alright? So, what I'm going to do is, if you notice, at the left-hand side, you see I've got a dotted line there on my ruler. And as my mouse cursor moves up and down, so does that dotted line, and up at the top you'll see the same thing too. This kind of gives you an idea where we're going to set this at. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the 2 here. I'm going to try to get as close as I can to the 2, that dotted line on the 2. I'm going to click and hold, and then I'm going to move it out to the 3 up at the top. Okay, and now I'm going to move it down. As it moves down, you can see it starts moving all over the place, but that's alright. I'm going to go down to the 2 down here. I'm going to try to get this so it sits on the 3 at the top. That's about right. If yours isn't exactly the same size as mine, that's fine. As long as it's in the same approximate parameters there. Okay? I want to make sure that I have this wall about this size. You'll see why later that it's important that it's not huge, okay, but it's not real skinny. Okay, and I'll show you that here in a minute, what's going on. Once you've got that done and it's still highlighted, what you need to do is do a copy and paste. So Control C, Control V, and then move this wall, this is wall number 5 actually, all the way over to the right hand side of the slide, and then kind of move it up so that there's about, I'd say there's about an inch from the top there. And actually if I put my cursor right, it's actually about the 3. Then I'm going to resize this, not the not the width, but I'm going to resize it as far as the height. And I'm going to move this so that it's about 1 inch from the bottom down here as well. And mine's a little bit closer than 1 inch, but that's alright. As long as I can still see white down here, that's fine.
It's not supposed to go.
That's because you haven't flipped the shapes. There. Now draw. Now pull down. Now all the way to the two. There you go. There, over. Just now on 3. There you go. Now let go. Kind of copy and paste. No, you do. Copy, Control C. Alright, we've constructed 2 walls so far. We got wall 1, the first one we did, and wall 5. Now we're going to construct walls 2 and 4. They're a little bit different, okay? So again, we're in our insert ribbon. We're going to shapes. And we're going to go to a trapezoid this time, which is under basic shapes. It's your 6th shape here. And then draw it. What you gotta click on it. Now copy and paste. 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 There you go. Move it over. Move that to the top. Right there. That's good. And resize it down. There you go. Now go to insert or shapes. And it's this one, trapezoid. Yep. And draw. Alright, so we got a trapezoid. Alright, so when I draw it, we're going to have to resize it. We're also going to have to like flip it. Now, here's the thing. We can rotate this shape by using the green knob. But I don't like it as much because it's not as easy to manipulate with your mouse. Okay? So what I like to do, I like to try to keep things precise and it's just easier to move, is I double click on this shape. That pops up the Drawing Tools format ribbon. Okay? And then I go over to the right hand side where it says rotate, and I'm going to go down to where it says rotate right 90 degrees. I'm going to click on it. Then I'm going to drag this down because mine's at the top. Okay? And I'm going to match this top edge right here, this top corner, vertice if you will, with this corner here, this vertice of the wall 1. So wall 1 and wall 2 are going to match up as far as at the top here. Now I use my mouse, but if I get it to a point where it's really close and it's hard for me to manipulate with the mouse, I start using my arrow keys. Okay, I can use those just as well. If I just got to move a small distance, then I'm going to use my arrow keys. If you have a real small distance and move it up and down or left or right, another way to move it would be holding down your control key and then using your arrow keys, and that really moves it just even less. Okay? Or as my old economics teacher said, a skosh bit. Just a skosh. Alright? So, if you notice though, mine, I don't know how yours is, but mine is really much longer than wall 1. Well, I don't want that. If yours is shorter, then you need to make it longer. But I'm going to make mine shorter. So I'm going to grab the middle of it and I'm going to move it so that my edges here match up exactly. And as I blow this up, you can see that my edges here are matched up fairly well here. Okay, they match up really well. Okay. Alright, now, anybody lost? Are we okay? Okay, good deal. Alright, now make sure that wall 2 is still highlighted, because again, we're not going to recreate the whole image again. What we're going to do is just copy and paste it. So Control C, Control V. And then I'm going to move it all the way over to this 5th wall. And again, I'm going to double click on it because I need to rotate it. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to flip it horizontally. And when you flip it horizontally, now it's facing the correct way. Okay? Now it's facing inward, just like the other wall is facing inward. Alright? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this wall up to the top so that the edges meet up, just like I did with this wall and this wall. And as you can see, my edges here, oops. Okay, nice if I can get it here. My edges here meet up nice and neatly. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to make this now, since it's a little bit shorter, I'm going to make it longer. I'm going to have my edges here match up. So now this matches up, makes this a nice corner. This is a nice corner.
So in a way, it looks like a cube. That's not corn. That's why it's called root.
Alright, now, next thing we're going to do. All I'm going to do, I could go to insert ribbon, do a shape. I'm not going to do that. The less I have to grab those tools, the better off I am. So I'm going to click on my first wall again. Okay, I'm going to copy it again, and I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to move it over here in the middle, and I'm going to match the edges up again, like I've been doing. Get one. It's always important to get at least one edge matched up perfectly, then you can fix all the other ones. Okay, so I like these two edges matching up perfectly. I like trying to match up my top edges first, and then I worry about all the other edges. Okay. Again, then I have to fix my height here. Okay, so I'm going to make this so that it matches up. The bottom edges match up perfectly here. Then, if you notice, I want this white area covered up. So what I'm going to do is make this wall now larger. So I'm going to stretch it. I'm going to make the width wider. I'm going to have it come all the way across to touch this wall right here. Now when you do that, what kind of optical illusion have you made here?
It looks like you're walking.
Right, it kind of looks like you could go around that wall. Okay? So that's an effect that you can do later on if you do more of these. There's a lot more ways you can do, like the one I've done. It makes it look like there's a doorway you can go right through at the back of it. The ones I've created, I've done tons of different ones. But this is another way of doing a room where you can make it look like, okay, if you can make the next slide, make it so that it's the next room you go into. Okay? But we're going to keep ours simple. We're going to do one room on this because I don't want to keep on creating more rooms after rooms. Alright, so now let's click on wall 4. We've got an issue. We want to make it so there's no way you could go around that wall. It doesn't look like you could go around that wall. Okay? So when you click on this wall right here, you'll see a yellow dot. I'm hoping most of them are at the top. It might be at the bottom for some of you. What this allows us to do is make our angles larger or bigger. Okay? And when I'm talking about the angles, I'm talking about these angles right here. They're either going to be larger or smaller. Right now, we need to make it so that this edge here touches this edge down here. Okay? So watch what I do. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to drag it down. And as you can see, there's like almost, it's hard to see, but there's a gray line. It's just letting me know where my edges are. And if you look at the bottom, do you see there's another gray line? So it's making that angle smaller. And I'm going to bring it down. And as you can see, I've got even an arrow, white arrow there. And I'm going to bring it so that it's right on the edge there, and now I'm going to let it go. And as you can see, that matches up really well there at the top. Okay, that matches up really well. My problem is I still have this issue down here. You see how I still have a little bit of an edge down here? This is where it becomes tricky. This is the hardest part for students when they're making their 3D rooms. Getting this gap closed. Here's the secret. Once you've closed it here, what you need to do is move this wall. Okay, I'm going to use my arrow keys. I'm going to move it so that however much lip is left over at the bottom is the same amount at the top. So watch what I do. I'm going to move this up a little bit, and when I click off of it, do you see how this much right here, there's about the same amount down here? Do you see that? Okay. What I'm going to do is now with that being about equal, I'm going to click on this yellow tool here. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to bring it back down to my top of my edge. And when I do that, that almost gets it right here. It's a that right there is about perfect. Okay, but down here it might be just a little bit. That's about perfect right there. There might be just a little bit off, but for the most part, it's about perfect. Okay, so try to work with that, manipulate it right now. That looks good. Yeah, that looks perfect.
When I did mine, it didn't have it.
Yeah, you're fine.
What is it?
You're fine. Yeah, you're fine. You almost got it. Click on it again. Not this wall. The only wall you're moving would be this one. You got a little bit of an issue. You should not have anything overlapping. You chose the wrong rectangle. That's part of the problem. You didn't do. Is this a rectangle? Are these rectangles? No. You can't have a polygon has no curves. A rectangle's a polygon. That's a rectangle. What's that? Yeah. It's almost. It's almost done. See the, I just matched it up. Yep. Yeah. All right, now, some of you have already figured it out, okay? That fifth wall is now off a little bit, but I don't have to change the height or anything because I didn't change the height of this edge here of the trapezoid of wall 4. So all I have to do is actually just move it up, and it matches up perfectly now. So everything should be lined up. so that it looks like kind of like this. It might be a little bit different in front of you, but all you have to do is really move this wall up and it should match up just fine. Alright, are we okay with this? Alright, let's go back up to Insert. Go to Insert ribbon. Shapes. Grab a rectangle again. A rectangle. Then, at the top left-hand corner of your slide, put your crosshairs, your plus symbol right there. Then click on it and then drag it so that it goes all the way across to the other side of your slide, all the way over. And you're going to bring it almost to the very middle part of your slide. So it's covering up almost, I'm saying almost, not exactly a half, but almost a half of your slide. So it looks like that. Okay? Then double click on the rectangle now. You'll see at the top right hand side of your ribbon here, you should be on Drawing Tools Format ribbon. You'll see where it says Send to Back. Click on it and see what happens. What have you created now?
A ceiling.
A ceiling. Okay? Now, make sure that's still highlighted because we're going to make it simple. We've already got the height and width that we need of the ceiling. Guess what we're going to make now? The floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it, Control C, Control V, and then just move it to the bottom. And do the exact same thing you just got through doing beforehand. And send it back. And now you have your 3D room. Now, question, why do we have it so that we have the left-hand side of our slide with smaller wall? Wall 1 is smaller than wall 5. Why are we doing this?
So it has more depth.
Yeah, it kind of gives us the illusion that we're standing closer to that wall than we are the other one. So it gives us more of the illusion that we're seeing things as they truly are, instead of it just being all the same size, same height, and everything. You can do that, but I like giving a little bit of variety here. Okay, so like I'm standing real close to this wall. Well, this wall looks a lot taller, a lot bigger than the wall across the room. Are they different? Hopefully not. If so, we need to contact the people that built this building. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click on wall 1. We're going to change the color of our walls. But if all we did was change wall 1, we'd have to do it to wall 2, wall 3, wall 4, wall 5. I don't want to keep on doing that. I want to keep it simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on wall 1, then hold down the Control key, then click on wall 2, wall 3, wall 4, and wall 5. So all of them are now selected. What we're going to do is go up to the bucket up at the top in the middle there. It says Shape Fill. Click on it. And you can choose any color you want. You can even go to where it says More Fill Colors. Let me ask you something. If you choose a dark color for a room, what does the room usually look like then?
Like it's at night or something.
Might look at night, okay. But what about the size of the room?
Small.
Looks smaller. Darker colors make your rooms smaller. That's why most places you go to, you have lighter colors. You can use whatever color you want. I'm going to go with a light blue here. Okay. If you will also notice, do you notice the lines around the walls? I like to call that the trim. Usually I don't have trim going up the walls, but I like the definition of the wall so it lets you see the walls. You can choose a different trim if you want. I'll show you this though. If I go no outline, see how I kind of, now the wall, you can't really tell the walls. Okay? But if you go with a color, then you're fine. I'm going to keep my color the same. I like that dark. I'm going to go with still a lighter trim all the way around it. So there is definition of it, but you can still see it just fine. Now if you happen to click off of it, I'm going to make sure all these stay highlighted. Yeah.
See, this is too dark.
So you can, right now, don't worry about that. Right now, what I want you to focus on is the shape outline in that. Yes, ma'am. Oh. Okay. There you go.
That was my color. You stole it.
There you go.
Copy.
Alright, now you've got your color of your walls, color of your trim. We still have one more effect we're going to add to these walls. Okay? What do you notice besides the pictures on my walls, besides the outlets on my walls, besides the gray box on my wall? What else do you notice that are on my wall?
It looks like it's brick.
Besides the texture of the wall? What do you notice that are on the walls besides all that other stuff?
Tiles.
Not so much tiles.
The ceiling.
Well, I hope my ceiling's not on the wall, so I guess it kind of is. It connects there. What about the lighting in here?
Oh,
So what's different about that side of the room compared to this side of the room?
This one has light, that one's darker.
So what do we have on the walls then?
light.
Shade.
Not so much shade, but shadows. Okay? So we're going to add shadows because we're going to say there's some type of lighting going on here. Okay? So, to add shadows to this, we go to Shape Fill. Go down to Gradient. Then you can go to, you can see as you start doing the different shape fills, you can see that there's, the lighting kind of changes, or the shape kind of changes, the shape fills. You can do it this way. If I click on this linear diagonal one at the bottom left hand corner, you can see that my shadows really are different places in that. You can get really, if you wanted to, really fancy about this. You can click on just each individual wall and make the lighting different for each wall. I like to keep it simple for your first rooms. But if I wanted to make this one a little bit different from the rest of them, say I got the lighting is more coming from the bottom, maybe I've got a spotlight that's shooting to that middle wall, then I can choose a gradient for just that one that would have something maybe that looks like that. And see how the light is more down here because it gives the illusion that there's a light shining up. Okay? So it really depends on how you want to make the wall look like. I'll let you guys kind of decide how you want to do that. If you want to keep it simple like I did, you just choose one gradient. And the better gradient to use really is that diagonal linear down here, that linear diagonal at the bottom left-hand side, third row there. Okay. But like I said, you can get really. I wouldn't choose the from center because unless you got lights coming from all four sides, you won't have that kind of shadow effect. I would really choose. I like on my side walls here. I like this linear diagonal, and in the middle wall, I like this effect because it really does make it look like the light's shooting up here. And if you notice on my side walls, it's light here and then lights right here. So it really makes it look like there's a spotlight down at the bottom here shooting up. Okay. Alright. Any questions on this that we've done so far? One thing we need to make sure we do is we need to do a save as. We haven't done a save as. You can click on your button, go to save as. Remember we do 97-2003 in here because that way we can open them up anywhere in the building. Put it in your, what folder are you going to end up putting it into?
Right here.
What folder are you going to put it in your folders? career education folder, okay? It is called right now your career crystal ball. That's fine, but put your username at the beginning of it. And then make sure you put your underscores underneath. And that will do it as of for today. Tomorrow we'll work on our ceilings and floors and that. So you can go ahead and log off.